Welcome to Still Serving, the VFW podcast, the official podcast of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And now, from the VFW Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., here's your host, Rob Couture.
And welcome to Still Serving. I'm your host, Rob Couture. Let's start off with a roll call. Let's go into my left, your right, if you're watching us. If not, then you'll be able to hear by voice. So go ahead.
Hey, Mike Figlioli, Director, National Veteran Service.
Hi, I'm Gabby Kubinyi, Associate Director, Grassroots Advocacy.
Hey, I'm Ryan Gallucci, VFW Washington Office Executive Director.
And over to Rhode Island.
Hi, Brittany Dymond Murray, the Associate Director for Public Affairs and Strategic Outreach with Rob.
Yes. And we are all here in the room and we have a quorum. We can get started. So back over to our Executive Director, Ryan Gallucci, for the much anticipated episode of Still Serving. What do we got?
This one's going to be complicated. As you can see, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes,
a lot. We got intros done, so that's out of the way.
Yeah.
I think we move on.
Moving on.
We had an historic VFW National Convention in Columbus, Ohio. That is going to take up a lot of the time for us to talk about here today. I got a whole list of things. It wouldn't have fit on the whiteboard.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And then, Brittany is going to introduce a new segment called Ask the VFW. As we've been putting out episodes of the podcast, we got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And Brittany is going to present those to the panel, and we're going to have a talk and answer the questions for those who've tuned into the podcast. And then, as always, the good of the order.
The good of the order.
So good.
Yeah, looking forward to that because I got a great story to tell, which Ryan happened to be there for. Yes.
Yes,
You're going to go last then?
Right.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So, Brittany, coming back up, first of all, I drove to the convention. I loaded up the truck and moved to Columbus, not but Beverly. But I did go to Columbus, and it was a nice drive. Ryan, you drove there as well.
I did.
In your own vehicle. And so that was great. And we met up with Mike there on the ground. You were there getting things ready to go, already looking at the local haunts, which you and I like to go to. And Columbus is quite a town, I would tell you. It happens to be the historic birthplace of the VFW.
Amazing, huh?
Yeah, amazing. So, Mike, go ahead. Tell us a little bit of set the scene, if you will, for the VFW National Convention there in Columbus.
I think people just think we roll into town and the convention happens. The membership doesn't get the opportunity to see what we really do. We get there a couple of days early. We've got to get the vendor set. Fern has to mark the floor. We've got to get offices set up. Excuse me.
Now, it's Fern the vendor, not Fern, like, you know what I mean, Fern?
No.
Yeah, different.
Like the plant.
Yeah, there we go.
We're not talking about plants.
So there's a lot of moving parts before any of the delegates even get into town. So you're waiting for staff to show up. You've got to pick up the vehicles for distinguished guests and VIP for transportation. Todd has been handling that. Todd Gricella has been handling that for the last couple of years. Department of Ohio had to provide volunteers for that, members and auxiliary members that wanted to partake and either drive the line officers to their appointments and to their meetings or to do the duty of picking up our invited guests who are going to be on the stage. Really, if you think about it, if there's no driver and there's nobody to pick you up at the airport, there's no show.
Right.
There's nobody at the microphone.
Correct.
We've got dead time. So the Department of Ohio did a really great job. And then, it's showtime on Saturday. We had our National Veteran Service Advisory Committee on Friday, and then Saturday morning we rolled right into business. And
That's right.
We'll get to some of the highlights.
Oh, we got a lot of business. So we did a lot of business.
We did do a lot of business, and we'll get to that. So it's dynamic. It's a good time. Thank you to the Department of Ohio for all their efforts and everything you did. And I will turn it back over to you. I will yield back my time.
Well, I have a question to go back to you, and that is, how many conventions have you been to?
As a staff member, 14. As a private member, likely 25.
Whew.
As a hanger-on, as a
Yikes.
kid with my parents, I have been attending National Convention since 1983.
Whoa.
Dang.
Wow.
New Orleans was my first one. President Reagan.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Well, so over to you, Gabby.
I was 3 in 1983.
You were 3.
I was not involved at that point, but it was great. This was my second time being there as staff, and I had a great time. A lot of the committee members for the National Legislative Committee came up to our booth, and we had great chats about all of the new training that we're going to be doing for them.
That's right.
And so it was really great being new and then getting to put faces to all these names that I keep seeing.
New-ish.
Ish, yes.
Yes.
New-ish. And it was great. I loved it. I had a great time.
Well, I think it's important for people to know that when the Washington office goes out, and Mike was talking about this a little bit, is that we are on staff, and it's not a vacation. We are working that whole time. So they may see you smiling at the booth, but when it came to the different committee meetings, we're assigned there, basically to support the board, lack of a better term, the actual committee that's there and the chairman that's there.
The vice chairman.
Right.
Where there are staff advisors to provide that subject matter expertise.
That's right.
And that's in addition to the other things we have to do, as you said, manning the booth.
Yeah.
Going to the airport to pick somebody up.
Right.
Whatever duties are assigned around the stage when people are on the stage.
Yeah.
There's always, it's go. And some of it's 9 days, 8 days, it's a week, and it's 18 to 20-hour days.
Well, let me ask there, because you talk about, Mike, you're the director of National Veteran Service, and there's a couple of things that National Veteran Service does on the exhibit floor that are critical for attendees. Can you talk a little bit about the claims clinic and the health fair?
Yeah, good point. Claims clinic, it was awesome. We get working with the VA to actually basically bring a small VARO, regional office, into the claims clinic, into the exhibit floor, so veterans can come in. They can file their claim. They can follow up with a claim. They can get seen by a VA examiner. And in some cases, they can do an appeal depending upon what staff the VA brought. And in rare circumstances, but it does happen, we get on-site grants. So that way the veteran doesn't have to get stuck in the red tape of waiting.
Wow.
I benefited myself. I was able to actually get an exam done for previously service-connected injury, and got the exam done during the claims clinic, amidst all the other things we had to do, and it was successful. I got notification the other day that I got a grant.
You did it this past convention.
I did this past convention.
Which was
I did it last year. Well, actually, I had another claim action I had to do this time too. But
Wow.
And then
not only the hair club president, but also the client.
Cy Sperling.
that'd be me. And then we have our exhibitors from VA, from the private community that bring in their wares and goods and show us what they are doing to support veterans, family members, and survivors. Our sponsors are there. Humana's got a big footprint. USAA has a big footprint. Twisted X has a big footprint. You want to buy boots? We got boots. You want boots?
We got boots.
You got boots and T-shirts this year.
T-shirts. I mean, come on. You're going to go home with some pens.
Yeah.
You're going to go home with some sticky notes, with some stress balls.
Right.
Plenty of shopping bags. And then they're the people that sell homewares. One gentleman was there with his little cooking show.
Right.
And showing people how to eat healthy. And it's a big community. In fact, we hang out in Veterans Village, so it's pretty good. Did I tell you we got boots?
You got
I have to say,
I got a T-shirt.
I would say that this episode is sponsored by Twisted X, if that was the case, because I did get my boots. Well,
Nice.
Are those?
they're
not boots. But
They're not the driving shoe. I got those boots like a few conventions back, but don't wear them too often. I'm not a huge cowboy boot fan, but I had to get a pair if I was going to get it. No, definitely not a Cowboys fan. But anyway, that's great. I think that's really important. I wanted to make sure that I set that scene, that there were people on not only just Washington office, but a lot of us were like, if you're in the military, you understand what an ADVON team is. That's what we were, basically ADVON team, and then we have the rest of staff, headquarters staff. Of course, they're there as well. But it's a lot. It's a lot of moving. I mean, we go from a convention floor that is completely blank to a matter of like 2 days. The thing is already set up, and it's gigantic. And we had a lot of new things that we did this year, and some things we brought back that we haven't done in a long time, like the banquet. That was another thing. So we'll get to that in a moment. But initial thoughts, Executive Director?
there was a lot that happened in this convention. I mean, first and foremost, it was a historic homecoming for the VFW. First of all, founded in Columbus, Ohio, but the VFW elected the first woman to serve as VFW Commander-in-Chief.
Yeah, look at
Carol
that.
Whitmore from the state of Iowa.
Right.
Carol, a fellow Iraq veteran, really excited for her vision for the VFW. A lot of her focus is on a lot of the work that we do out of the VFW Washington office, which is advocacy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
She's very passionate about it.
Gabby is going to be leading some training here in just a couple of weeks when the VFW's now formal legislative committee comes to town to meet with legislators. And I want to stress the importance of this because part of our goal over the last few years was to put some more structure back on this committee. The committee's existed since as far back as I said, probably 1919, I believe, is what we formally identified. Mm-hmm. But we're providing some training. Gabby, can you talk a little bit about what we're going to do here for that committee?
Oh, we're going to do so much. I'm so excited. So we're going first from like 2 hours of training to a whole day. 7:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. And I recently finished a graduate program, and I'm super excited to bring all of that information and really make sure that our advocates are as strategically focused and effective on Capitol Hill to pass all of the things that we as the military community need to see Congress get the job done on.
But this one's not exactly like March.
No.
This is just the committee coming to town, which is why we thought it was a good time to provide that training. And really, the reason I'm bringing it up now, I know we're talking about convention, but this is to execute Carol's vision of advocacy.
And she used to be on the committee.
Exactly.
I used to be on the committee.
And her husband was one of our committee members of the year a few years ago.
Right.
So he was awesome. I'm so excited for Carol to come back. I know how great she is on the Hill and how inspiring she is for the committee members to really get them going. So a lot of what we're going to focus on are the stories. Is what we really think the committee is here to do is bring Main Street American stories to Capitol Hill. That's what they can do to make sure that our legislators understand what's at stake. And that's what we're going to focus on so that they are able to walk into every office, tell the stories of all the folks at home, everyone who's listening, and be able to get things done for our community.
Absolutely. And I think stories are extremely important, bringing it back to convention. Your role, Brittany, was to tell a lot of the stories that were there by covering, photos, videos. It was a lot of work. You were out there hustling. And then not only that, but we're on the parade deck stage, right? We're trying to manage stuff there as well. What were your thoughts about convention this year?
Ooh, this year was wild. This is my fourth convention as a staff member. It was, my fourth convention period. I never had gone before I became a staff member, so it was my fourth one. And it was by far one of the wildest conventions. I would say the wildest convention for a number of reasons, which we're going to get into some of them, but it was a lot. I mean, from introducing Parade Deck to the scene, which was 2 full days in the convention hall, Saturday and Sunday, so days 1 and 2 of the convention, it was nonstop over there. So it was, in addition to covering, so I did a lot of the photography. So in addition to covering, special speakers on the parade deck stage, whether it was like you and Ryan when you were up there, or other guests that we had, sponsors, et cetera, or going to our committee meetings, which we're going to talk about those a little bit too, like our resolutions meetings. It was really nonstop. There were a lot of stories to be told, and I'm glad that I had a lot of help. I had some help, which was really nice. Yeah. But it was a really meaningful. It was a really meaningful convention, and I'm really excited about the tone that it sets for years going forward.
Yeah, I think
from a storytelling perspective, especially.
Exactly. The storytelling perspective, the people that were being able to share their stories. One of the committee meetings was the Afghan War Commission, which we'll talk about, and be able to tell their stories to this panel. And it was like okay, it feels like we're going to be able to make a difference here. It feels like we're talking to the right people. I'm going to let Ryan, you really just like the way that you described it before we started recording this, I think it's perfect. So if you would just kind of reiterate that.
Sure. So for those who may not be familiar with the Afghanistan War Commission, it was commissioned by Congress to take a nonpartisan look at the 20 years that the United States was involved in Afghanistan, and our military decision-making, our diplomatic decision-making, the way that we partnered with other governments, other stakeholders, the people of Afghanistan, and so on. And their goal is to publish a series of reports so that we can identify some lessons learned. Now, the VFW, we were able to host in our building here in DC their first public hearing. But that's not the point of this story. They had reached out about potential opportunities to speak to our members at our national convention. Of course, we said yes. Oh. And so, no brainer, please come on out. Now, personally, I was a little bit nervous because we didn't have the ability to bring them up on the main stage and talk about the meeting, but we were able to give them a breakout session. And they flew in several of the commissioners to include the co-chairs. And they gave a brief overview of what the commission was doing, what they had done so far. They provided copies of their report for attendees to review, their first interim report. And then they listened. And I'll be blunt. There was a lot happening at our convention, a lot of unprecedented things that I had never seen.
Right.
If you count the virtual COVID convention, this was my 15th VFW National Convention, a lot of things that I had never seen. And so to include some committee votes and things like that were running much longer. So I was nervous. There wasn't a lot of people in the room when this commission first started.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, geez, people aren't showing up for this. And then when they opened up the floor for veterans to share their experiences and their concerns who served in Afghanistan, it kind of struck me that this is powerful. This is exactly what this commission needs to hear. And this is exactly what the VFW is supposed to be doing. It was a hard conversation. It was hard to listen to some of the stories. I didn't serve in Afghanistan. I served in Iraq. And just the committee to hear the raw concerns of people who served in Afghanistan about how the war was prosecuted, how it concluded. It was. I'm kind of speechless over it because it was so powerful. But again, that's what the VFW does.
Yeah.
On the previous episode, we talked about visiting Vietnam, where
2 episodes ago.
Yeah. Where past Commander-in-Chief Larry Rivers said it was Vietnam veterans had the duty to make peace with their adversaries. And as I'm watching this unfold with the Afghanistan War Commission, I'm seeing something very similar. It's like we have a duty to share these stories with leaders and those analyzing that conflict. We have a duty to make sure that we learn from the years we spent in Afghanistan. It was incredibly powerful. Brittany, I don't know if you have anything else to add, having been one of those Afghanistan veterans.
Yeah, when I said it was a wild ride, I was serious because, I mean, Ryan, you alluded to, some unprecedented things that happened during convention, but I don't think I'd ever been on a roller coaster quite as emotional as that convention. Because, I mean, Rob, you mentioned I was running around taking pictures and stuff from event to event to event to event. And then I went to the Afghanistan War Commission and I shared some of the same concerns with Ryan and others about, well, there's a lot going on right now. And I really, really hope that we get the turnout of veterans to attend this panel and participate, and if they have any experiences to share. And so I went and I covered it from a photography perspective. And then I put my camera down though, and I got in line too, because I served there in 2012. And I served on flight duty over Afghanistan in 2010, but in 2012 I was on the ground, also supporting a different type of squadron. And so I wasn't flying, but I was supporting the squadron this time. So Everyone's perspectives are really important. We talk a lot about advocacy, and I mean, there's a lot more to advocacy than just being on Capitol Hill or connecting with legislators in your home states on issues that impact veterans and service members. It's also about, having specific experiences and your willingness to share those stories with the people who need to hear them, in other venues. And that includes the Afghanistan War Commission. So I decided to get up and speak. And I admit I was there early on, so I was the second person in line. Mm-hmm. And I didn't stay afterward because I didn't realize, I didn't stay after I was done. Or once I was finished, I didn't stay because I didn't realize how angry I still am. Like how intensely I still feel about the experience, and also how I don't know how I feel about it still, about what happened there. And, after we left in August 2021, or after the U.S. left. So my experience there was not good at all. And I was transparent with the committee because these stories need to be told. Our unit's morale was awful, and it showed from beginning to end. And they didn't understand what the mission. They didn't understand why we were there. Yeah. And that mentality was shared, at least within my shop, my team, from top to bottom. So it was, the leadership, that's how they felt. And therefore, that's how the junior service members felt as well. And I was caught in the middle as an E5. And, so they didn't understand why we were there doing what we were doing. And I was with like I said, a squadron. And so our purpose was to suppress IEDs. And it was really tough. It was really tough because you can't really know if you're successful. It's tough to know if you're successful. The only data we get back is where IEDs went off and, where were they geographically? And if we have a mission in that area, what do we need to be on the lookout for? That's it. So if a convoy went out and no IEDs went off, we never knew if that was because we helped prevent it or if there were just no IEDs on that route.
Right.
And so the mentality ran deep of, we don't know what we're doing here, why we're doing, we don't understand if we're even effective.
Yeah. And
the morale was awful to the point where, at least the people in my immediate circle, didn't want to work. And this is not a popular thing. I'm sure that people are going to be like, well, how is that possible? Well, it is. It happened. They didn't want to work. And they, I've never said this publicly other than that the War Commission forum at convention, but they didn't, they genuinely punished me for wanting to do my job the best I could. And I was threatened. And I was threatened with being demoted and sent back to my home command in the States. I was there. I was essentially an individual augmentee. And it was a whole lot of, it became a very hostile work environment. And so I felt like that needed to be shared because I feel like the mentality pre-existed our arrival in 2012 because that mentality didn't just develop.
Right.
Once we got on the ground, there was something happening before that enabled that, that to happen. And I can't speak to what that was as an E5, who's just doing what I was told to go there.
It's tough being an E5 and Secretary of Defense at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How can you analyze everything that's going on? You're only on the receiving end of policy.
And you can't. So
some of it's not policy.
Yeah. And this is just Brittany speaking, so I had that experience, I shared it with them, but I also shared some more global concerns of, is there that's what they're doing. They want to answer the big questions and they want to know what the takeaways are, lessons learned, how to avoid beating, in the future. And, one thing I said was, I know that the U.S. has our foreign policy is it's called democratic hegemony, which is like spreading democracy. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like it was then and now, like it was just a giant game of whack-a-mole. Like, in that it's really not possible to change an ideology of a culture who didn't ask for that ideology. And so that's my opinion. And so I don't know if that's realistic, but that's what I shared with the commission. And sure. It's my understanding that I did get a positive response after I said my piece from the room, which makes me feel like I was in at least some good company. And I know that after I left, it was quite a powerful response that it continued for like another hour and a half. It was a really long session with a lot of people who felt like they needed to stand up as well and say their piece, which was really powerful because those are the exact people who need to hear it. And they came to our convention to find our stories and take them with them as they analyzed what happened in Afghanistan. So really, it was powerful.
Really good wrap up, Brittany. Thank you for that. And I'm super proud of you for as brave as you were to get up, being the second person to be able to share your story. Ryan, I feel like there's something you want to add.
No, because after you left, Brittany, it did set a tone for how the rest of the VFW members who took advantage of that forum to be candid in their experiences, and it was a common thread, especially looking. To be frank, after Bin Laden was killed, okay, so what's next?
Yeah, where's the end point?
Mm-hmm. What is our end game? Well, I don't know. Go find IEDs. Okay, that's. Right.
But you didn't have to be in Iraq or Afghanistan to be affected. I was walking with you. We'd go to a meeting, and you were somewhere off in the distance thinking about your experience.
Yeah. Well, it was because, and it made me ask the question, Mike, you're right. You and I talked about it. I can't help but wonder, okay, the pivot to Iraq in 2003, how did that affect resourcing for Afghanistan?
Yeah.
And I had an experience on R&R in Qatar back over Christmas of 2003. Where we got to spend some time with folks who were on R&R from Afghanistan, and they were talking about how austere it was there. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, like, here we are, it's OIF 1, it's 2003, and we already have amenities stood up that they're not even considering in Afghanistan. I'm thinking, it seems a little bit backwards. Haven't we been there a little bit longer? Anyway.
I would also add, I was in that session, and as somebody who's not a veteran and didn't serve, it was super powerful, and it was things that I had never heard from any veterans, and there were things that I had heard previously over and over again. And it was the biggest shock I had was when I turned back to looking at the panel, their looks, their faces, their eyes, because I know that I sat there for the hour and a half, 2 hours just crying. Just tears just coming down, the emotion and the honesty of everyone up there. And then also watching people slowly get up, right? That they got courage from watching their, fellow comrades, veterans get up and say something. And then we had a fellow staff member who in the beginning said, I'm not really comfortable. I don't really want to do this. And he got up and talked at the end because of that brotherhood, right? That connection, that community, that he wanted to be part of what was happening in that room. Yeah. And the power was, because I turned back when we were done with the veterans, and the looks on that panel's faces was just wide-eyed, like they were shocked at everything they heard.
That's one of the reasons I thought that discussion in that panel was so powerful, is because when you think of the stories of service in Afghanistan, and Brittany, you shared your struggles and your concerns. It's like, look, I have the power now. This commission cares about my input, and I now have a duty to say something.
That's right.
And that's just
because E5, Brittany Dymond, didn't have that voice back then in Afghanistan.
I had zero voice.
Zero voice.
Go ahead.
I had
zero voice.
Yeah. And so, hey, look, I even got up and had to say something, because when I saw Brittany afterwards and knew that she had spoken, I was like, I have a duty to the other E5s and E4s and those that I led in Afghanistan who were questioning why we were reporting the way we were doing, why we were taking pictures of things and making stuff up that wasn't really happening. I mean, you said this, Ryan, just a moment ago, and look, this is kind of way off about the National Convention, but I think it's really important, because for us to allow this to happen at our National Convention, it's not just the resolutions of the business and the organization, which is super important for us to do and how we advocate, but we allowed for healing to take place, for people to be able to express things. And I shared this with Brittany. It was something that I felt as a moral burden, for many years. And now I realize that could have been a moral injury to me, and to my fellow soldiers that were in Afghanistan, that we were told to say Afghan in the lead every single time we would do a press release, when that wasn't the truth. As a matter of fact, we went into Afghanistan as Combined Forces Command, and we changed right as we went to Iraq as the International Security Assistance Force, which means we even changed the way that we were, what the narrative was of why we were there. Wow, I thought it was to get Osama bin Laden, not to stand up a whole country. So that was one of those things. Like, yeah, we understand why. I mean, look, I'm not stupid. I understand that, but to be able to explain that to my soldiers and have to kind of live with the answers I was giving them, because it was policy driven and was top down, and you're going to say this and you're going to do that. So it was really good to be able to have that forum. And shoot, we had people that were missing votes that were in there.
Yes.
Yeah. Because of how important it was. So I tell you what, leaders of the VFW, this is something that we need to do, is to allow, if it's possible and we have the time, to allow these sort of conversations to take place, because they're so important to the veteran community. Can we wrap that one up?
Yeah,
that was a good segue. You mentioned votes.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean,
we had a lot of those too.
Did something happen?
We had a lot of votes.
I heard something.
We heard a lot of things.
Can I go with a couple easy ones here, real quick?
I think you should. I think, and let's. All right. We're going to go straight over to Ryan on this.
And again,
one. Ryan,
this historic convention. All right, so one of the things that we have to do, we really have two things that we have to do at the VFW National Convention. The supreme authority of the VFW is the National Convention. And per the bylaws, the book right in front of Rob, that book, new version coming soon. But we have to vote on resolutions, organizational resolutions, and nominate and elect new leaders for the organization. So prior to that, there are committees of delegates. So delegates get assigned to committees to deliberate in smaller groups on these series of resolutions. Our office, the VFW Washington office, is really responsible for two of these groupings. The ones related to national security and foreign affairs, military affairs, that's the 400 series of resolutions. And the other is related to Department of Veterans Affairs programs and services, National Veteran Service, we call it. And that's the 600 series of resolutions. And man, oh man, both had some interesting facets to them as the convention unfolded. I'll talk about the 400 series here quickly. This is where we talk about our support to Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency and the fullest possible accounting of our missing, where we articulate our support for allies like Taiwan and Ukraine and South Korea and so but we also talk about issues related to the military and national security, foreign affairs. And in that vein of foreign affairs, Department of Pacific Areas put forward a resolution about furnishing of information to overseas veterans and overseas dependents on Social Security. It's a little bit out of scope for the VFW, I think. But again, the supreme authority is the members of the VFW. And in the 400 series, Department of Pacific Areas got up and made an impassioned case for why the VFW needed to approve this resolution. Even though the staff recommendation was, hey, we think this should be rejected, it's a bit out of scope. When it came to a vote of the delegates assigned to that committee, the vote was split right down the middle.
Oh, wow.
And so then it went to the vote of the chairs, and the chairs voted to advance it to the floor for consideration. And when it got to the floor, it was set aside for further discussion, and the delegates approved it. That's how the organization's supposed to work. The delegates have a say in how this is going to go. And, kudos to the comrades from Pacific areas for showing up, for defending their resolution, for making the case, and winning the day.
Well, I think you're saying what I was going to say. Put that in perspective. There's 10,000 people that are registered from posts all around the world, and EPA is this very small microcosm.
Yes.
And they were able to convince their fellow comrades and veterans to support their resolution because it was important.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Now, this also happened in the 600 series, but a little bit of a different way. So the VFW has a resolution on toxic exposure. It's usually presented by the commander-in-chief. This year was resolution number 402. Now, 406, thank you.
No,
thank you.
602.
602. 602, yes.
600 series.
My own mistake in my own notes. It was resolution 602.
Got that part.
And so in the committee, the commander-in-chief's resolution did advance out of committee. But then what happened when it went to the floor, there is a group of submariners. You don't want to mix it up with submariners.
Good job, Army.
I got that one right. Within the VFW, who are advocating very strongly for toxic exposure presumption for submarine service. And they were frustrated that their standalone resolution was not going to be approved. They mustered enough support on the convention floor of delegates to defeat the commander-in-chief's resolution on the floor. Now, what this did with our convention rules is it opened up an opportunity for this group of delegates to present an amended resolution and reconvene the 600 series committee.
That's what happened. I didn't even know that's what happened.
We had to walk out of the business session during all the other drama, which we'll get to.
Yes.
Reconvene the committee to vote on the new resolution because it was now considered a new resolution, which then passed and then was reported out favorably to the delegates.
That's crazy.
So
I didn't even know that happened.
Once we reconvened the committee, they overrode the chief, but then they got in line and got their resolution prepared, and then we went into the other stuff.
Yeah. But again, just from the
All
perspective
at the same time.
of the 400 and 600 series resolutions, I hadn't seen anything like that before. But again, to the submariners who coalesced around needing to articulate submarine service as a specific toxic exposure, that's what this organization does. Kudos. You showed up, you voted. You took action.
You lobbied. You did
organized.
Yeah. You organized. Yes.
Absolutely. And you know what's crazy is that it was all there. It's like the members, the delegates that were there, they really just flexed big time.
Yeah.
In thinking of attending a state convention, and as you know, these resolutions go out to the states prior to the commander-in-chief's resolutions. And the comment you always hear if you are either attending or representing is, well, it doesn't matter, they're not going to change. And now that I go back on this, the two people that got up and spoke about the submariners were a couple of the people that said it doesn't matter what we do at our convention because National's going to do what they're going to do anyway. And they get up there and they change the world.
They changed their world.
Yep. It's doable.
Because the members run the VFW.
That's right.
It is a
delegates
run organization.
Wow. Well, that was pretty big.
But this is just a sampling.
That was just a sample.
Going.
I would say that another one I found to be interesting because there was a few floor votes,
there were
over these things. One of them is that the VFW Riders group is now an official subset, auxiliary, if you will, of the VFW. It was not formalized at the national level before. And for a little history, I'm going to ask Mike if he can kind of explain how that all worked. Do you know much about it? Can you talk about it, Mike?
I don't. I'm not a bike rider, so I didn't really pay much attention to that one. I had other things to worry about.
Well, that's true.
On a future episode of the Still Serving podcast.
I mean, in the past, the history of, from what I've been told, is that it was never something that was approved at the level. There was many fits and starts of it. It was just kind of very loose groups here and there. Some of them were pretty well formed at the post, district, and department level. Others not so much. Others were loosey-goosey with the rules and the bylaws that they put together. And so for them to actually put, all right, guys, then fine. You all have now your official group. make it work, make it work right. Now, I want to know if the cooties are going to have their own little subset of a group, because if I was a cootie,
They do. And they are in the bylaws.
Well, what I'm saying, no. What I'm saying is, we know that the military order of the cootie is obviously an honorific
an honor
extension,
degree,
an honored degree, if you will, of the VFW. But will there be a cooties riders group? Because if I was in that, I would absolutely buy a Vespa scooter right off.
The work of the cooties is generally hospital work over the years. So if they have a riders group, they may have extra work to do. So yes,
that's right.
That could happen.
Maybe like powered unicycles, keeping them laughing in sheets of
Position,
light.
Heal thyself.
Oh man.
Yeah, right. Anyway,
give me a reason to go buy a Vespa, Rob.
Well, you're in Rhode Island now.
Because I will.
So I don't know. It might be harder to get that motorcycle license here in Rhode Island. Then
we have the really small stuff.
Whatever you do, don't go to Block Island and rent one of the mopeds and then drive it off the dock, because I've seen that happen, and it happens probably more often than it should.
Yeah. Well, or like an electric scooter and they take a face plant. That's also true. One of our good friends happened to have that happen to him. It sure did. So anyway, that was I thought that was a big thing. That was I thought that was a big thing. And there's a lot of people that are online still talking about it, there was a lot of emotions. We talked about the emotions that went on with the Afghanistan War Commission. Well, there was emotions that were going on the floor. And I just think that was, and then also in the rooms outside of that and side discussions. And I would say that it was pretty good as a staff member. I'm very proud of the VFW Washington office and the headquarters in Kansas City writ large, because staffers, we pretty much kept it all on the up and up and stayed focused on the work that was on hand. As a matter of fact, I know that for a few of those floor votes that came up, our adjutant general even abstained from doing that, because he's like, you know what? I have to live with this outcome, and I'm not going to be the one that, kind of
puts your thumb on the
on the scale of either way, So Ryan, back over to you with that. Can we talk a little bit about some of the nitty gritty, some of the stuff that's the down and dirty?
Well, I mean, where do you want to begin with this? Because, do we keep with an easy one on the vote to approve official baseball caps for meetings?
Man, the baseball cap. Okay, so even in this room, we may have a little bit of differing opinions. Me personally, I always thought if you're in a VFW post meeting, you're an official meeting of the VFW, that you do as tradition has. It's a formal event. You wear your cover. But if I'm out there and I'm lugging stuff around and I'm on day of service and I'm cleaning stuff, man, I want that ball cap. But I also want to be in uniform. So that's something that's ingrained with me as, being in the Army for as long as I was, is you have two different caps, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, I know that not everybody shares my opinion. So I don't know. Let's go around the room. Mike, what's your thought on the cap?
Being the traditionalist that I am for the organization, after my lifelong exposure, I've seen it evolve to where posts just don't wear, the service cap anymore, and they just wear baseball caps. Excuse me. Commanders don't enforce it. If you were an elected official, you're sitting at the table conducting business, you're supposed to wear the service cap.
Yeah.
If you're not, you can sit quietly with your baseball cap. Okay. I think it takes a little bit of the tradition out of the organization. Days of service, we already say wear a VFW baseball cap, wear your service cap if you like.
Right.
However, this is what was put forth, so we'll live with it. I'm quite sure I'll buy one and
add it to your
my pie hole and put it on.
Add it to your collection of all the ball caps that you've collected from all these conventions. Yeah, for sure.
Well, that was the beauty of it. I mean, you watched that vote unfold, and that one didn't go to a roll call vote, but it didn't pass by voice vote. It ended up passing by, they have the kind of escalating different levels.
Yeah.
This one was stand if you're for it, stand if you're against it. I did vote against it. At the time.
Oh, really?
It won the day. I subscribe kind of to the same mentality that Mike said, that the overseas service cap that's become the VFW cap is for ceremonial purposes, and I understand that this is the bylaw change is really just at the post level, and it's not for officers who are on the dais and things like. There's a lot of nuance behind it, but. Much like Mike, that's the members have spoken.
Yeah.
And And, Carol, the commander-in-chief, she got up and gave a statement in support of the baseball caps, and then was, once it passed, was wearing hers the next day, which, sorry, Carol, I did vote against it. I'm going to be honest with you. But as a comrade in the VFW, and it passed, and like Mike, I will probably buy mine from the VFW store as well.
We will soldier on.
We will soldier on.
Thank you, Commander.
Because now I want one.
I absolutely want one. Absolutely.
No, I gotta have it. I can't not have it.
Gotta have that cap. And you can get one too if you go to the VFW catalog and order your cap right in there. There's so much for you to get out of the VFW store. That's VFWstore.org.
Good plug, Rob. Good plug.
But that's not even that's not the one you were talking about, was it?
Oh, what? Are you talking about like what was so contentious there?
Yes.
Something happened.
Something did happen. Something did happen. And
it's quite significant.
It was, wow.
Let me back up.
Okay.
So
back that thing up, Ryan.
VFW, we are a member-run organization.
Yes.
And there are certain rights of members, and there are certain rights of delegates at the National Convention, and those are sacrosanct. Now, over time, there's been a way that we do things. And so the way that we do things is we have regions, and generally those regions rotate on who they can put forward as candidates to go into the chairs to become the VFW Commander-in-Chief.
Called conferences.
Yes.
Eastern, Southern, Big Ten, Western.
Now, these aren't formal agreements in any way. They're nowhere in the bylaws or the manual of procedure. This is just an agreement to in the best way possible, try not to make, Texas is going to keep going back and forth between Texas and California as who's the commander-in-chief. And so that's really the purpose behind it. But that said, every year, even if there are agreements on how the succession is supposed to go, there is a floor vote. There are floor nominations for every office, every elected national office in the VFW. Surgeon, chaplain, but most importantly, perhaps, junior vice commander-in-chief, senior vice commander-in-chief, and commander-in-chief.
Right.
This year, the junior vice commander-in-chief who was running for senior vice commander-in-chief was not elected to the senior vice commander-in-chief position. And a candidate was nominated off the floor, Corey Geisler from Wisconsin, and was elected as senior vice commander-in-chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Yeah. Does this throw what we've traditionally done, right? We've always done it this way. Does it kind of throw that for a loop? Does that, because I've seen that online now, like, well, where do we go now? Big Ten has 2 in a row, and where? Well, what goes with that?
Right?
I don't know, Mike. You might have been around the last time this happened. This happened in the early 2000s, didn't it? It's been about 20 years.
It was 40 years before that.
Wow.
Neither prevailed. Well, one did. One did. The earlier one did not. I don't think anybody knows now. I think that the organization is in such a bit of change because, as you just said, the way we always do things. I think that those that attended the Afghanistan War Commission and are OIF and OEF are not satisfied with that's the way we do things anymore. Yeah. And I think we've had that same discussion here in the office. So does it do away with the conference system? It has the potential to do that.
Yeah.
Will it? I think we just need to see how it plays out as we get used to the new reality of the senior vice commander-in-chief who took a chance and swung for the fences and won. So
sure did.
I think we'll just have to wait and see how it goes.
I think it's important for people to understand that, like, it doesn't just go like the conference. Okay, we choose as like these folks that go and want to run for a chair position at the national level. They're campaigning at a great expense to themselves.
Yes,
and so. Wow, it is something to think about. Like,
well, it's like a presidential campaign,
right?
Because if your conference and you're interested in getting in the chairs, and you have the backing of your post, your district, your state, up until you get there, you've got to travel all those states in your conference. I mean, They put your face out there to meet and greet. You've got to go to those state banquets. You've got to pay for hotel rooms.
And it's all out of pocket.
Yeah.
You
can fundraise as an individual for it, but it's
it's expensive and it's very time consuming. So it's a full commitment.
And for the people that have backed you,
it can change year to year.
Yeah.
This year, the state commander of, I'll just say Massachusetts because that's where I'm from, voted X. But now the senior vice, when he's elected next year, doesn't want to support that candidate. Now we're going to go with the other candidate that's running out of the Eastern Conference. So that's why you've got to keep moving state to state to state to state to state.
Interesting. And these people that, like I was saying, backing them, they're also putting time and effort because they're campaigning on their behalf.
Correct.
Yes. Like, hey, you go to maybe the department convention and you're like, as we're putting things forward, I'd like to present Mike Figlioli as, for junior vice commander in chief elect. I second that. And then there you go. And then everybody votes on it and they're like, hey, let's get behind this guy. And so that's the way that goes. The way it's always been, right?
Well, and it's also really interesting to see when you're traveling around to those different state conventions that the candidates who are running for those offices, they'll even send surrogates out there.
Yeah.
I was at the VFW State of Tennessee Department Convention, and out of the Southern Conference, they elected Bobby Laverne to serve. Well, he would presumably be the junior vice commander in chief candidate for next year out of the Southern Conference. But in Tennessee, he had surrogates attending, sharing what his message would be to muster support, or even just to bring feedback to Bobby and the people who are supporting him on what he would need to know.
Yeah.
About what's happening in the state of Tennessee. So there's a ton of work and a ton of effort that goes into running for the chairs. And it's, it's a new time for the VFW. And I would say coming out of this convention, a lot of change and frankly, the way that the founders of the VFW intended for it.
Yeah.
That the delegates to the convention, the members of the VFW speak.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. So if you're listening and you haven't been too involved with the VFW, your voice matters, period. Whether it's introducing a resolution at your posts that will then move up to be considered potentially by your state, potentially by national, which we've seen happen over the last few years, to having a say in the bylaws or national resolutions or making sure that the VFW prioritizes something that you see happening in your community. It can be done. I mean, we just saw it happen.
Yeah.
Look, go back to what you've said previous podcasts. There was no magic power from the current commander in chief, right? You get one vote.
Yeah. You are one member. Every member is one member of the VFW.
So when your comment was, if you want to get a little bit more involved, it proves your vote matters.
Yeah. And you know what? So Brittany, I'm going to go to you for this because you actually went over not only as a staffer, but as a delegate as well for your post. So talk a little bit about how that was challenging for you. Am I right? I mean, you and I had talked about through some of those things. If you care to discuss some of it,
Yeah. So it was a kind of a challenging space to be in because we were, a number of us, it wasn't just me, I wasn't alone. I know Ryan already mentioned that he was voting as a delegate. So
yes,
a lot of these votes that we were having. So I think Ryan, you mentioned Dan West abstained, or somebody mentioned that Dan West.
I mentioned that.
He's our adjutant general, our, like essentially CEO equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not Dan. Am I talking? Yeah. So
you're
he abstained from votes. So he, as a delegate. So a lot of us, it's kind of like this weird line we have to figure out, where if we're there as a delegate voting on behalf of our department on our, on behalf of our post. So we're essentially speaking for the members of our post, if you will. As a staff member and a regular VFW member, it's a little bit challenging because some of these votes can affect us potentially, depending, and Dan West is a good example. So you kind of have to make this decision of, well, do I vote in this or do I abstain? And so that was that was a little bit challenging, like the floor vote for when Corey Geisler, ran from the floor for the senior vice position. So that was, I think I abstained from that one because I felt like it was really up to the membership to, not like the larger membership. And I put a lot of trust and faith in the membership to make the right decisions, which they do. I mean, they come to convention, they're motivated, they're committed to the organization, they love the organization, they want to see it flourish and be successful into the future for another 125 years. And so I did abstain from that vote, for example, because I wanted, let the members speak, the ones who aren't employed by the organization. So also because of that, like, our office, we work closely with our top 3 all the time.
Yeah.
Day in and day out. So I would never want to have been on the record, voting, for one leader over another when we have a good professional working relationship. So, it wasn't in my wheelhouse, I felt, to vote on that. So that was a personal choice, but it was a challenge though. It was a challenge. That was my first time being there as a delegate too. So I spent a lot of time like asking people.
Hey, so did you vote for the cap? I want to know. Did you vote for the cap?
I didn't. No, I did. I think I was not. I think I had to. I think I was not on the floor for that.
Oh, not on the floor for that one.
I think I was like taking pictures of something, or I don't remember what I was doing, but I wasn't there for it. But I think I probably would have voted against it too.
Yeah.
Only because I'm biased. I never really understood, like, I was in the Navy. I never really understood, like, I would rather wear my field cover, the 8-point, or my dress cover if I'm in dress uniform.
Yeah.
And so I always kind of felt a little weird wearing a ball cap.
Yeah.
But I know that there's a time and place for them, like in the field and stuff.
Well, sure.
Yeah, so.
And I think a lot of people that are, surface warfare folks on big carriers, that's a point of pride.
Yes.
I mean, you see those.
The command ball cap is a big deal.
Yeah, those World War II vets, they wear their ball cap with the, depending on what fleet they're on, or carrier battle group or whatever. And the ship that they were aboard. So I mean, I get that. So there's a lot of back and forth. I'm sure Air Force folks were the same way. But yeah, it's a difficult spot to be in, being a staffer and a delegate.
It really is. It was weird. And so I'm curious, actually, Gabby. So as an auxiliary member, watching all of this unfold, having worked at VFW, previously, and then so Gabby just returned to our team very recently, actually, after a many-year hiatus. So Gabby left the VFW Washington office like weeks before I started in 2021. So she was away for about 4 years. So
2 ships passing in the night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Gabby and I knew each other. We'd met, we stayed in the same circle and stuff because Gabby went over, well, she could tell you, she went over and she stayed in the space just doing a little bit different work. But what was it like for you coming back as this your first convention back? And then also as like an auxiliary member, like looking in. And auxiliary was also having their convention proceedings at the same time.
So
and you were so what was it like for you?
It was very head swirly, right? Like it was very wanting to like do a good job because I'm back and I'm new and I want to do like my job, but then hearing all this stuff going on that I wasn't fully like up on because I have been gone for like 4 years. So it was very like, what's happening? And then as an auxiliary member who admittedly has not been very involved in the auxiliary,
You've been working.
I have been working.
Yes.
I've been working. That's what I've been doing. With a lot of travel in that last job. That really makes volunteering harder. But I mean, if you guys can change everything, why can't we change the things that we don't like either?
Oh, man.
The auxiliary did have a pretty substantial change in the last decade.
Yeah.
A decade. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we could do more.
Yeah. Well, one of them is,
I love it.
And I'm putting this out there right now. I can't bring any, I'm not an auxiliary member, so I can't bring it. But if you were to have an alternate cap, specifically for those that served in the military and are an auxiliary member, it's not about exclusion. It's about just recognizing their service.
Yeah.
And so
I would vote for that.
Somebody should, I don't know. I think you have to be part of a post, which you're working on.
I'm almost
so
there.
I'm just putting that out there, putting that
It's more for the good of the order.
Are you bringing back the pillbox hats for the auxiliary? I don't think the male members are going to like that.
I don't know. Some like
maybe like a ball cap, because I did buy
Oh,
one at
look at
convention. I bought one of the ones with the patches that you can change.
Oh,
So I can make it it could be appropriate for any
occasion. Oh, very good. You know, the Army came up with a good idea when they did hook and pile, as it's called officially. Velcro is.
We can't use that.
That's a brand name.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, we can't say hook and pile. We can't say the V word.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. I mean, we can now.
We can't.
We're not in uniform anymore.
I'm doing jumping jacks, damn it.
All right, side shuttle hops. Okay, so I know. Boom, Ryan.
Is that also a brand name?
What, jumping jacks? No, that's Apple Jacks, which are delicious. But
Cracker Jacks.
Cracker Jacks are another one.
Go Navy.
Go Navy. All right, so here we are, an hour in.
We still have a couple.
We still have a few things to talk
Do
about.
we? Oh, man.
Yeah, your segment, Brittany, right?
We do. But
Let's keep rolling.
Let's get rolling. Let's go on to the big announcement. And that was fully expected, but it was the election of our commander-in-chief.
Woo!
Carol Whitmore.
Yes.
First woman to become the commander-in-chief of the VFW. I tell you, watching the delegates that were there, a lot of the veterans who are women, there was they made their way to the front for this. She ran and was unopposed and was duly elected by our convention to be our commander-in-chief. And it was a sight to see. I also thought it was pretty cool that Al and Carol decided to do a change of command, much like we do in the military, with the passing of the colors of the VFW to one another.
That was really cool.
Super cool. I love that. I was like, yes. But your thoughts, Ryan, what are your thoughts?
I thought that it was historic and it was very powerful to see and to be a part of. I mean, you know, we spend, for a lot of the floor business, we spend a lot of our time alongside the side of the stage or in the green room facilitating, moving people about. I made it a point, you know, for her election, for her acceptance speech to be on the floor, like just watching and listening and observing as it happened.
Like a delegate?
Well, but, you know, but to just really take in what was happening because it was historic for our organization. This organization has been around for 126 years now. And it changes persistently over time. And just to watch one of those changes happening and to just that, you know, taking my own pictures of it and, you know, like I want to remember this. I want to, because it's so profound and so it just very always proud to be a member of this organization, but to watch this organization evolve is really just a powerful thing to see.
Mike,
I've probably said powerful way too many times.
Yeah, that's
it's a good word, and it's it's appropriate.
Is it a powerful word?
Yeah,
it's a powerful word
if not used too often.
It's powerful. Mike, what were your thoughts? You've been in the VFW since birth, so tell us.
Incredible. Carol doesn't like to be known for that, obviously, but it's something she's not going to be able to escape. So she's kind of learned to embrace it.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of late as you look at the other organizations. They've already had some female leaders in place. So, you know, but one, it's overdue. It's about time. We've had the opportunity to travel with Carol. Very clear on what she wants to do. Not afraid to ask questions. Not afraid to admit what she doesn't know, but also will put the hammer down and be firm in her decisions about what she wants to do and where she thinks we need to go. So I think it's great. If you go back and look at the video, when she was elected by proclamation, it wasn't just our female members. You know, a lot of male members that were hooting and hollering and whistling as well. So
that's right.
I think that's really great. And if you couple that with the other changes that have occurred in the organization, it's clear that the organization is now on a different path.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it just kind of the more as an organization that we can get to a place like, it doesn't matter what your background is, who you are. We're all veterans, one. And as a veteran, you can rise to the highest level of this organization. I thought, you know what? That's what I want this organization to be, because that's the military I grew up in. Mm-hmm. And that's what I would hope for, my son or my granddaughter or whoever that is, to one day say, I want to be like my grandfather and be in the VFW. And hopefully one day maybe I can be the commander in chief of such a great organization.
I missed out on Pope, so maybe I can become chief one day.
Well, yeah.
Gabby.
Pope.
Yeah, Gabby.
Pope. Gabby, as someone who is an auxiliary member, but you've been on staff here before, I kind of alluded to it, but I kind of want to get your thoughts on what it was like for you in that moment to see Carol rise to that position.
It was so inspiring and makes me even happier than I already was coming back to this organization.
Yeah.
Like Ryan just said, watching this organization change, because I first came here 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And this office building was a whole different world than what it is now. And it all is following what I would like to see, more inclusiveness for anybody who has a good idea and is willing to put in the work. Mm-hmm. And if you're willing to do that and you show up and you do what you say you're going to do, then sky is the limit. You can do whatever you need to do, because the bottom line is everybody who's here is here to move forward veterans issues across the country.
Yeah.
And that is the most important thing. And when we elect people based on their work, not who they are, where they come from, or any of those things, just on what they are doing for the organization, I don't think we can do better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Brittany, what's your thoughts?
I'm firmly with Gabby and each of you on this. I think a lot of it is about integrity and who a person is, who they show up, who they purport to be, and then who their, what their actions actually are. I always value that regardless of who it is. And Carol, over the years, I've known Carol since I started. So when she was the presumptive junior vice, I think, is that the correct term? Presumptive
it's junior vice elect, yeah.
Yeah,
Designee.
There we go. The junior vice designee. So I remember when I first started, Tammy Barlett, who was on who's now works at SVA, she's a VP of Government Affairs. She was on our team at the time doing the healthcare portfolio. And, we met at it was probably honestly the September legislative conference, and Carol was here, and she's like, "Oh, I want to go get a picture with Carol. She's the designee." And I was like, what? So I didn't know the significance of who she was until Tammy told me, and I was like, "Oh, that's outstanding." VFW has a reputation, a stereotype of being, just loaded with a bunch of men, telling war stories and blah blah blah. But Carol was in an interview the other day, and she talked about she's been doing a lot of interviews, and so many interviews, and which is amazing. She's probably super tired by now. Yeah. But she mentioned, almost 20% of the military right now is made up of women, and that number is growing. It was 17% a few years ago. I think now it's like 19% or so. And so it's really important for organizations like VFW to be able to be representative of the members that they want to attract. People have to be able to see themselves in the organization in order to join, which is really important, and something I think Gabby was also getting at. And with Carol, we have that. Yes, it's historically been a male-dominated organization, but that doesn't mean that that's the future of VFW. And by her, her election, the membership electing her, speaks volumes about that. And it's really amazing to see, what's possible. It's motivating, and it speaks volumes about the possibilities that there are for women or people who historically haven't seen themselves in leadership roles in VFW.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled. Carol's a wonderful person. Her integrity is top notch, and I love how motivated she is about advocacy and the work that the entire Washington office does in that space and how supportive she is. So I'm really excited to continue working with her during her year and support her the best that we can.
And so when are we having her on the podcast?
Ooh, good point.
She's coming to town here in just a couple of weeks.
Well, maybe that's a great idea. If people cancel out, maybe we have an opening and an opportunity. But I think it really speaks to our new push for still serving, which is still leading, still advancing, still serving. And as an organization, leadership is a huge, I really feel like it's got to be strongly led. And that person that's up there that gets elected, I think there were the majority of people in that room that really were behind Carol because they know she's a strong leader and we're advancing the organization. Ryan, let's get your thoughts. Wrap up of the convention?
Wrap up of the convention. So Rob, you mentioned it before that we brought back the awards banquet, and I thought that this was just a really a great opportunity to showcase the work that the VFW wants to recognize every year. And really, we brought in we give our Legislator of the Year award at the Washington Conference in the spring, but we brought in our award recipient to give remarks. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but we capped off the event with the Community Service Award was given to a comrade, a post commander in Western North Carolina. And Dan got up there and said, well, she's unable to join us here to accept the award because she's deployed to Kuwait. So she's joining us now via Zoom.
Yep.
And the room just kind of lost it.
Oh yeah.
Because just how crazy is that? But in North Carolina, she had worked with her post to serve as a hub. Brittany, I think did you go out to her post while you were there?
I wish I could say yes definitively. She looked very familiar to me, so I feel like I did come across her at some point. We made our way around several posts. But when she came up on the screen, I was thrilled because I was like, oh, I know her. And so everything that she was saying was spot on. And I love that, it was so fitting that we honored her. I was thrilled to see her.
Exactly. And kudos to the headquarters communications team, the Marcon team for making that happen. Because we've tried in the past to try and do awards from afar, and I don't know if they've necessarily worked. I knew that maybe 15 years ago, maybe 18 years ago, from what I understand, they brought back now past Commander-in-Chief Tim Borland. They brought him back when he was on active duty, and he came into the National Convention, and he gave a speech there. So as an organization, I don't think we've been able to pull anything off like that in a while, and so that was really cool to do that. You're right. I think the ball stays. That's what I vote. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, there we go. I don't have a gavel, so that doesn't matter.
That's
All in favor?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh, thanks, Mike. Okay, so good. We move on.
Good to go.
Right. You said now there was something that you had brought up before about a picture. Do you have a picture that you want to share?
Can I? Okay, let's try this again.
Oh, all right. Okay. Oh yeah, let's try this again. So this is a picture of Carol and Al doing the ceremony. Oh my gosh. Change command, right.
Yes, the change of command.
And there you were up on stage getting the best angle of Brian Willett.
Of Brian Willett from the back. Yeah. Brian Willett is a fantastic human. He's
just kidding, Brian. We love you.
Sergeant at Arms. It was a really solid angle of them. It was a very genuine moment and amazing. I love that. 2 Army veterans doing change of command. Lead the VFW. So it was a huge moment. That's all I wanted to share.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Brittany. We try to bring in some of this photography into the podcast, and it's, we'll continue to do that. It's a lot to line up, honestly, to have that, but those moments, that's why we have you there, Brittany, because you were able to capture those moments. Well, not just that, but one of the many talents you got.
I try to be everywhere I can.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, why don't you help out the VFW? We have a new segment that we want to bring on. It's called Ask the VFW. Give us a little background on what made you come up with this.
Okay. So I'm kind of a huge nerd and I like data. So I started. I do something. I use a platform, and it's I don't know if anyone's ever heard. It's like there's something called social listening. And then I think this is called search listening. So it's a way to understand what people are talking about, what they care about. So, and I want to expand this going forward, and create like an official, some sort of specific channel where our listeners and others can reach out to us directly with questions that they have about anything, whether it's legislation or a veteran benefit, or even just simple questions that they just can't find a good answer to, and within the military and veteran space. So, for now, though, I've been using a tool. It's called Answer the Public. I don't know if I was supposed to say that or not, but
okay, that's what you use.
That's the tool I'm using. I'm sure there are plenty of them like it. So, and there's a lot of really interesting questions on there.
Okay.
So I want to start just choosing a few every now and then, maybe like every podcast or every other podcast.
Sure.
Just to take a moment to answer some questions that people search for, and that may or may not have good answers online. So,
we have some SMEs in the room to help better answer those questions.
So exactly. So that's what I would love to leverage.
Degrees or to a temperature of 160.
Oh, well,
what?
Okay, maybe not that, but
okay, yeah. Maybe.
But what do you have for questions specific to the VFW?
So, okay. So there's one VFW specific and one just veteran, general veteran question. And so the first one is, what are VFW post commander salaries?
So somebody searched for that. What are post commander salaries? Somebody searched.
Yeah, somebody wants to know, or at least actually know more than one person. Many people have Googled what are post commander
very
salaries.
lucrative position, apparently.
Oh, so let's go to our person who probably has the most fraternal experience in the organization, Mike. What do you say, Mike?
Exactly the same amount of money that we get from doing claims and benefits for veterans. Zero, you say? Zero? We make zero? Post commanders are generally unpaid. They may get a stipend from their post to carry out their duties for gas and mileage, but there's usually no salary associated with the post commander position. So they get the big zero, just like we get no money from a veteran's claim.
Right.
Always for free.
Well, you can imagine.
Like the linkage you made there.
Yeah, I know, right? It was really good. You can imagine for those that are department commanders, and then this goes up from district to department, they may or may not, because they have their own set of bylaws.
The question was, I think, post commander.
It was post commander. And I know we want to stick to it, and you're like, come on, Rob, let's go. But I just want to say, some of those bigger states, if they're a department commander, they get a long way to go. And if you're in Pacific areas, can you imagine? So... It's a lot that these commanders, no matter what echelon that they're at, that they have to put out in order to engage the membership of the VFW.
It's an investment.
It sure is an investment. Why not? They're important.
Exactly.
No, I got to speculate that maybe one of the reasons that this question populates so heavily on Google is that some people can be confused between perhaps a post commander and somebody who runs a canteen. At a VFW post.
There were lots of questions about the canteen.
Oh, look at that.
Where's one near me? How much is the beer?
I know the one near me is pretty cheap.
And honestly, this is, again, something that we run into, especially when it comes to the service officer issue. Where do you go for help in the VFW? And it's hard to, I went to the VFW post and the person behind the bar told me they couldn't help me. It's like,
and they go online and say the VFW is horrible because the VFW didn't help me. Except they were actually talking to the bartender, not the post service officer, who is now the local benefits advisor because that was voted out of convention too.
Yeah.
A lot of changes at convention. But it is a dilemma that sometimes we have to overcome because, there are VFW posts, they're community hubs, but also many of them will operate a canteen. And even, as we were advocating for issues on the state level and even on the federal level, sometimes there's a cognitive dissonance there about, who am I going to listen to? This person in a shiny suit that brought a lot of money or the guy who runs the bar down the street? I don't go to the bar for my claims advice. It's like, oh no, there's different facets of the VFW. We're a nonprofit.
Yeah. Well, I don't go to the bar to get my taxes done. That's for sure.
And you don't go to the surgeon for surgery.
Yeah. All right. So what other questions do we have?
Lots of tangents.
I know.
There's so many tangents. The other one is a common question that we hear. And are you considered a veteran if you never went to war?
Ooh. I'm going to go to our executive director.
Why?
Because you get paid for this for a reason, my friend. Speaking of paychecks.
So I'm going to pay for this.
You're going to pay for this. So, okay.
You're in my job before me, and you know the answer too.
That's right. So what say you, Ryan Gallucci?
It's a lot of pressure. Look, okay, this is I think this is a very personal decision. Because there are legal definitions, there are colloquial definitions, and then even within the veteran community, there can be different ways of stacking. Are you a combat veteran? Are you a grunt? Are you this? Are you that? They're different.
We split hairs so much.
We eat ourselves alive.
Yes, we do.
Here's just my personal opinion on this. If you have volunteered to serve this country in uniform and you served honorably, you can consider yourself a veteran. There was a push in Congress a number of years ago, could retired members of the Guard and Reserve use the term veteran? And there was opposition to it. And I was working here at the time, and it was like, well, but then if you call them a veteran, they can get benefits. It's like, no, that's a whole different body of law. And look, there are statutory definitions of veterans, but even that varies.
Right.
And it can vary based on the benefit that you're seeking as to whether or not you qualify for that benefit. Education benefits are a perfect example. You can qualify for education benefits, say GI Bill Reserve Select, without serving active duty time necessarily. And so you're using a veteran benefit when you go to your college campus. Are you a veteran? Well, no. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Like, I think where the nuance comes in is, don't misrepresent your service.
That's a really good point.
I think that's yeah.
And if you've served honorably, then you've done something that most of our population has chosen not to do.
Okay.
Well,
I don't know.
That's a long-winded answer.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm not exactly sure that quite answers it. So I'm going to go to Mike because
of course it doesn't.
Well, because the thing is like it is. You're right. There's some personal, how you feel as a veteran, all these other things. But there's clear cut what is considered a veteran.
Ryan got it right. I mean, pretty much everything he said is
thanks, Mike.
Actual. If you performed your period of duty and you're honorably discharged, you are a veteran. If you didn't deploy, you are still a veteran, according to the United States Code. You can look this up. VA has a definition of veteran, time periods and explanations. Reservists and guardsmen have some slight nuance to it. Did you serve 2 days active duty during a period of war? Did you finish the period of which you were called to duty? That's the definition. So, yes, there is a definition. If you were not deployed to combat, you are still a veteran.
Right.
You are still eligible for benefits in most cases. Okay. Go see your local VFW service officer. We always help you free of charge.
Or another accredited representative if there isn't one near you.
Yes, your county VSO who's cross-accredited with VFW.
Yeah.
But that's I think that's where I was going with. I don't like the gatekeeping on, what kind of veteran?
Well, okay. So look, there's a difference between does the VFW consider you a veteran, or does the VFW consider you eligible for the VFW, right? So you're a veteran nevertheless, but to be eligible for the VFW, you have to have met certain criteria in order to become a member of the. That doesn't mean that you're not a veteran. Right. It just means that you just don't qualify.
Benefits. I didn't get deployed. Am I eligible for benefits? I didn't go to war. Yes, as long as you meet the criteria, you are a veteran for benefits.
Exactly right. Okay, I think we went long enough on that one. I mean, we caused more confusion. I don't know.
No.
Probably. Yes. You'll definitely more confusion.
Yeah, right. Next segment. So that's good. Well, thank you, Brittany, for introducing us to that.
Looking forward to more.
That was fun.
That was fun. Yeah, we're going to do that. All right. So now we have come to the end because we've gone long enough, and I really didn't want to push this past an hour and a half. So we're close to that. So let's go ahead and do the good of the order. I'm going to do it all out of whack, right? So I'm going to go to Gabby first. Gabby, what do you have for the good of the order?
I think this is right. Fall Ledge Conference is coming up.
That's great.
Your eye out for all social media to be able to see what your department's committee members are doing here on the Hill.
Okay, really good. Let's go to Brittany. What do you have for the good of the order?
On the spot.
I wasn't ready for that, Rob. I'm going to footstop Gabby. This is a really exciting time of year. In September, this is our second opportunity for our Ledge Committee members to come into town and advocate. And we have some big items coming up. The NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, is going to be on the table when Congress reconvenes. And so it's prime time for our Ledge Committee members to get in their offices and tell them exactly what it is VFW cares about that is in that NDAA, and other, any other priorities that we're planning on sharing. So stay tuned to social media. And if any action alerts come out, so that's also Gabby's wheelhouse.
Very good.
So if any action alerts come out, please subscribe to the VFW Action Corps so that you can respond to those action alerts, so that you can communicate to Congress that you support those policies. So whatever they may be when they're released. So
it only takes
that's
one
mine.
One click.
That's right.
To have your voice heard.
All right.
And for the love of God, if you open the email, click on it. Gabby started sending me reports on the open rate and then the click-through rate. And come on,
we can
do better. We can do a lot better.
All right.
Better.
All right. Now, for more of the good of the order, going to Mike Figlioli.
Did I tell you we sell boots?
Yeah, we do sell boots.
Hey, looking forward to skill level training for our accredited representatives coming up in a couple of weeks in Annapolis. That's always a good time in the fall, but big shout out to the staff at the convention to make everything go from the Washington office that really performed as magnificently as they always do. So want to say thank you to them.
All right, thanks. And so now, for the good of the order, I'm going to share this one with Ryan, because this is a story, unless you got a different good...
No, well, can I go first? I'll be quicker.
All right, go ahead. Be quicker.
We should close out with your story.
All right, fine. All right, go ahead.
Because I know what you're going to talk about.
Yes, right. Ryan, go ahead.
I'm going to talk about the start of college football season. No, and the reason I'm talking about that, so VFW Washington office, we're here only 35 miles away from the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis. Last year, the Army-Navy game was hosted here in Landover, Maryland, and now this year, it'll be held in Baltimore. And so the VFW this year, we are working more with Navy athletics. We're a small sponsor of Navy football, but this weekend on Saturday, you're listening to this after it happened, but on Saturday, on Saturday, August 30th.
Mike, that's all right. How are they doing this year? Are they okay? I mean,
I want to know.
They want to know. So Navy's playing VMI. And so the VFW, we're working with our partners in the VFW State of Maryland and the VFW Post in Annapolis. We're hosting a tailgate, and then we're going to go to the game, foster some true comradeship there, talk to veterans about the VFW. Look, it's a natural fit. Last year we supported the Travis Manion Foundation tailgate at the Army-Navy game. We hosted a tailgate at a Navy home game as well. It's something that we're going to keep doing because that's our community. I just love. I live just outside of Annapolis. I used to live much closer to the stadium, but I just love going out to those games. It's just a great atmosphere. A lot of veterans, a lot of people who care about the veteran community, and just a great place to cook up some burgers, have some beverages, and foster true comradeship
and patriotism.
Yeah, absolutely.
So really looking forward to that, and my prediction is that Navy will win the game.
Oh man, that's two. Wow.
They had a pretty good team last year, and so one more to close that out. It's interesting that in the day of transfer portals and things like that, both Army and Navy were competitive last year.
Yeah,
and I saw a posting on Twitter about it from Cons from Barstool Sports. And basically said that the reason they're competitive is because what they can offer players is much more lucrative than that temporary cash.
Yeah.
Like they offer them an education, a job, a network that's going to pay dividends for their entire life. And
That's right.
Thought that was profound. So Cons, if you're listening, that was a really poignant thing, but we're really excited to work with Navy football.
And an opportunity to serve your country and lead your fellow countrymen. And
so what about you, Rob? What do you got?
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So it was historic, right? It was a historic convention. So there we were, a convention story. So there we were at the end of convention. And Ryan and I get together with some of our comrades, Jason Johns from Wisconsin, and Bobby Laverne from down there in Louisiana, and Vic Letourneau, who's
Bobby's interpreter,
right? Bobby's interpreter, and from North Carolina, right? I think that's where he's from. So. We decided we're going to go to a place that maybe we haven't been for. We were. I had brought up Mike had found all the local haunts, and he and I normally go and hang out as directors. We go to different places, but it just so happened they were like, okay, well, we got one night. I wasn't around Mike. I was with Ryan. I'm like, let's go someplace to eat. So we go to this place that is, it's right down the road where everybody was hanging out, but now everybody's kind of gone. So we go in there for dinner, and we got talking. Hey,
Martinis.
It's called Martini's, a modern Italian restaurant. And we go into the desk there, for the hosting desk, and it happens to be the general manager that's there. And we're like, hey, we know the convention's over, but you got any discounts for VFW members? And he's like, chuckle.
In true embarrassing veteran fashion.
Yeah, good job, Rob.
You have your military discount.
I'm a veteran. Getting kicked out of an Applebee's.
Thank you for my service.
Kicked out of an Applebee's. But
will my scooter fit in there?
Yeah, I don't know. So the guy at the desk is like, I got a connection to the VFW. I'm like, oh, you do? He goes, yeah. My great grandfather was he founded the organization. One of the founders. I was, wait, what? So he tells me his name and
Malloy.
Yeah, his name is John Malloy. And Ryan, super quick with the phone, goes, oh yeah, that's right. He shows it. He was one of them.
This is your grandfather.
And like, so are you a Malloy? And he said, no, I'm not. But and which was like, oh, okay, I'm not a Malloy, but he's passed on the family. Oh, great. So he sits us down. We're like, wow, it's amazing that he's got that connection. And so he comes over to the table and he shows us pictures of his grandfather that he happened to have on his phone. Like, oh my gosh, those photos are in our archives. What are the chances of this? And I'm like, has anybody asked you? Like, we've had a lot of VFW members here. And people I'm sure have come into the restaurant. Nobody's asked you this question. If you're, no, it's not at all.
You're the first.
What? So I'm like, this is crazy. It's blowing all of our minds. And he says, you know what? I have something that I think would be of interest to you. So he takes off and he's gone for like half hour. Like, well, where'd he go? Where'd this guy go? So
he's shorter than the story, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, he comes back and he shows us, takes his black box and he sticks it in front of me. He goes, go ahead. So Rob doesn't ask for permission. I just go ahead and ask for forgiveness. So I'm grab the box and I open it up, right? It's obviously really old. And it turns out it's his great-grandfather's medal. John, it says founder on it. It's an actual encampment medal from Ohio. And we were reselling, had replicas that we were selling at this national convention. It was back then, it was called National Encampment back in the day. Yep. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is a piece of history of the VFW. And we're all like looking at John and Jason Johns is like, may I touch this? Yeah, he touched it. And so he's like looking at it and we're like, this is amazing. So passing around the table. Of course, we took copious amount of pictures. So
it also had his Army of Occupation medal.
Army of Occupation medal, which is crazy because that was a Cuba Army of Occupation medal, which qualifies for the VFW, by the way. Although I don't know if any of those guys are still around. I don't think so. I think
no.
They died a long time. No, Rob.
That's how math works.
It would be. That's how living works. So that was amazing. It was an amazing time to be in such a historic place, Columbus, Ohio, the birthplace of the VFW, to have a historic convention and then to meet living history right then and there.
Wow.
It was super cool. Ryan, what'd you think about it?
I like bringing around the medal. I didn't know what to expect. Well, he also disappeared for a half hour. We're like, where'd he go? Like,
yeah.
Did we call it?
Did he go all the way home to get these things? That's awesome. That? Did he go all the way home to get these?
Well, we don't know. We don't know if his dad came and met him there and brought it with him. But we're like, hey, look, did you serve in the military? And he said, no, I didn't. But my grandfather, I guess it would have been his great grandfather's son, served in World War II. I'm like, well, you qualify for the auxiliary. So the plan is that on Founders Day,
Which is September 29th.
September 29th. Carol Whitmore, who is in on this plan as well as the national president of the auxiliary,
Lois
are going
Callahan.
to thank you, Lois Callahan, are going to swear him in to the VFW auxiliary there.
At the marker.
At the marker. That is what is the plan. And
Amazing.
I tell you what, I got a few people into the VFW, some social media influencers and folks during this convention, which I thought was great. We were able to live stream that and did that at the ball as well. But that was probably the icing on the cake. Just so cool.
Even I haven't met those people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know. And you were born in
He was like working right next to the convention center.
I know.
I'm more blown away that that story hadn't come up at all earlier in the week.
Nuts. He must have just either been too busy or VFW members just weren't engaging, which is something that I think that we need to be mindful of. That's what Day of Service is about. And that's about going out and engaging your communities and what you do and being proud that you are a VFW member. So you talk about it, you wear the cap or the ball cap, and you get out there and represent, or the shirt. And again, VFWstore.org. No, I'm just kidding. Well, not kidding, but serious. But and just get out there and represent your veteran community in this organization that we all love and belong to. So with that, any final thoughts? I know we did go to the order. Brittany, you got anything for us?
Ryan brought up football, and I'm really excited because I don't follow football, but my cousin made it to the NFL and he just started playing. So I'm really psyched for him.
What team? Do you know?
He's on the Vikings. He's number 96.
Oh.
What? All right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a Vikings fan, but now I have a reason to watch. That's
his name is Tyler Marty.
Well, Marty Caraway.
Yeah.
We'll tell Marty Caraway.
So cool. All right, Ryan.
I thought we already went around.
All right, we went around.
We did.
Congratulations, Navy.
That was my savior.
Yeah.
Presumptive one.
Yeah, presumptive. All right. Well, that's it. And that's it for this episode of the VFW podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, follow us. You can watch us on YouTube, as maybe you are right now, or listen to us on any of the streaming podcast platforms from the Washington office here in Washington, D.C. I am Rob Couture saying, when it comes to the VFW, we are still serving. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Still Serving, the VFW podcast. To get the latest news and information from the veterans of foreign wars, make sure to follow, like, and subscribe to us on social media at VFW HQ, on Facebook at VFW Fans, or visit our website at vfw.org.